Let me ask you something simple. Are you living or are you just surviving? We spend so much time chasing the next thing, the next job, the next opportunity, the next milestone, hoping that once we get there, life will finally make sense. But what if the thing that needs to change isn't the world around you? What if the thing that will truly change your life is your mindset? There is one mindset, just one, that separates those who constantly grow from those who stay stuck. It's the mindset of ownership. Ownership is not about controlling everything. It's about taking responsibility for your thoughts, your choices, your actions, and your outcomes. People with an ownership mindset don't say, "This is just how I am." They say, "This is who I'm becoming." Most people go through life reacting to situations, reacting to people, reacting to their environment. They believe life is happening to them, not for them. And when things go wrong, when the plan falls apart, when they don't get the job, when relationships break, the easiest thing to do is blame the economy. Blame the system, blame other people, blame timing. And for a while, blaming feels good. It lets you off the hook. It gives you something to point at. But it also robs you of your power. That's why the mindset of ownership is a game changer. Ownership means accepting that while you can't control everything that happens, you are always in control of how you respond. It means you stop outsourcing responsibility for your life. You stop waiting for others to save you, fix you, or motivate you. Instead, you start showing up, not just when it's convenient, but consistently and intentionally. The moment you take ownership is the moment you stop being a passenger and start being the driver. You begin to ask different questions. Instead of "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What is this trying to teach me?" Instead of "Who's to blame?" you ask, "What could I have done differently?" That shift alone unlocks a whole new level of growth. Ownership doesn't mean everything is your fault. It means everything is your responsibility. That's a powerful distinction. You're not responsible for the things others did to you, but you are responsible for how long you let those things control your life. You're not responsible for every setback, but you are responsible for how you choose to respond, rebuild, and rise. The people who thrive, who grow, who lead, who inspire are the ones who've decided that no matter what life throws at them, they won't stay down. They don't see failure as the end. They see it as data, as feedback, as the necessary price of becoming stronger. And instead of complaining about how hard the journey is, they keep walking. Because they know that the more they take ownership, the more control they gain over their future. When you embrace this mindset, you stop waiting for motivation. You stop needing permission. You stop relying on perfect circumstances. You understand that discipline builds momentum and that progress builds confidence. You understand that no one is coming to rescue you, and that's not something to be afraid of. That's something to be excited about. Because if no one is coming, then it's on you. And if it's on you, then you're free. Ownership frees you from excuses. It frees you from blame. And it frees you from the limits you placed on yourself when you believed you were powerless. With ownership, even your greatest weaknesses become fuel for growth. Even your worst days become teachers, and even your mistakes become building blocks for a stronger foundation. It's not always easy. Taking ownership means holding yourself accountable when no one else does. It means choosing growth over comfort. But if you want a life of meaning, if you want real change, if you want to become the kind of person others can count on, it starts here. Because ownership isn't just a mindset, it's a decision, a daily decision to stop waiting and start becoming. And once you make that decision, your life will never be the same again. Every day, people wait. They wait for the right moment. They wait for inspiration to strike. They wait for someone to notice them, for circumstances to improve, for fear to disappear. They wait for clarity, for motivation, for validation. And while they wait, life moves on. Opportunities pass, dreams fade, days turn into weeks, then months, and sometimes even years. The truth is, the perfect moment never comes, and the longer you wait, the harder it becomes to start. This is why you must stop waiting and start creating. Creating isn't just about art or business. It's about building your life. It's about designing the future you want, instead of hoping it magically shows up. It's about understanding that nothing changes until you do, that no one is going to hand you the confidence, the discipline, or the results you're looking for. You have to create them from scratch, from effort, from consistency. The problem with waiting is that it puts the power outside of you. It makes your success dependent on something you can't control, timing, other people's opinions, external conditions. But when you shift to a creator mindset, everything changes. You realize you already have everything you need to begin. Maybe you're not fully ready. Maybe you're not the most skilled, but you are willing, and willingness is where all progress begins. When you stop waiting, you give yourself permission to try, to learn, to fail forward. You understand that the path won't be perfect, and that's okay. Perfection isn't the goal, movement is, creation is messy. You won't have all the answers, but action brings clarity. Every step forward reveals the next step. You learn by doing, not by sitting still. People often say they're waiting for motivation, but motivation is a result, not a requirement. It comes after action, not before. When you start creating, when you make even small progress, motivation begins to show up. Confidence grows, not from wishing, but from working. The more you create, the more you believe in your ability to keep going. And what you create doesn't have to be massive. It doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to be yours. Create routines, create habits, create boundaries, create a version of yourself you're proud of. Don't wait for someone to give you a chance. Create your own opportunities. Don't wait to feel ready. Start where you are, because if you're always waiting to feel ready, you'll never move. But if you start creating, readiness will catch up. One of the most powerful realizations you can have is this: you are not stuck because of your circumstances. You are stuck because of your mindset. And once you decide that action matters more than comfort, that momentum matters more than perfection, everything begins to shift. You begin to trust yourself again. You stop looking for someone to rescue you. You become your own source of energy and direction. There is no shortcut, no secret hack, no external force that will do it for you. The only way out is through discipline, through repetition, through courage. The life you want isn't waiting to be found. It's waiting to be created. So build it. One action at a time, one choice at a time, one day at a time. Stop waiting, start creating. Your future is not something you arrive at, it's something you build, brick by brick, thought by thought, decision by decision. And the sooner you begin, the sooner your reality begins to change. Growth doesn't happen by accident. It doesn't just appear one day wrapped in convenience or comfort. Growth is intentional. And the foundation of real lasting growth is accountability. Without accountability, progress is inconsistent, results are temporary, and lessons are often missed. Accountability is what transforms knowledge into action, and action into transformation. At its core, accountability is about owning your role in your own development. It's the decision to stop blaming others or external conditions for where you are, and to start asking yourself the tough questions. What did I do to get here? What can I do differently? What's within my control, even if everything else isn't? It's easy to want change. It's harder to admit that change begins with you. Most people want growth as long as it doesn't require discomfort, as long as it doesn't mean holding up a mirror to their habits, decisions, and patterns. But growth and comfort cannot coexist. When you avoid accountability, you avoid growth. You might feel good temporarily, but you stay stuck. You repeat the same behaviors. You make the same excuses. You point fingers at the world, forgetting that the power to evolve is always within you. Accountability requires humility. It takes humility to admit when you're wrong. It takes strength to say, I could have done better. I didn't show up fully. I let fear or laziness win today. That's not weakness. That's the birthplace of growth. Because you cannot improve what you're unwilling to admit. When you start holding yourself accountable, things shift. You start paying closer attention to your actions. You become more intentional with your time, more conscious of your choices, and more aware of your impact. You stop looking for excuses and start searching for solutions. That's when real growth begins, not when everything goes right, but when you're willing to learn from what goes wrong. Accountability also builds trust, not just with others, but with yourself. When you say you'll do something, wake up earlier, eat better, work on your goals, and you actually follow through, you strengthen your own belief that you can rely on yourself. That belief compounds. It builds discipline. It fuels confidence. And confidence, rooted in action, becomes unstoppable. It's important to understand that accountability isn't about perfection. It's about honesty. You'll still mess up. You'll still fall short. But accountability means you don't hide from your failures. You confront them. You learn from them. You use them. Growth comes not from always getting it right, but from refusing to give up when you get it wrong. And accountability doesn't mean you have to walk alone. In fact, the most growth-oriented people surround themselves with others who hold them to a higher standard. People who don't just agree with everything but challenge them, check them, remind them of their potential. But even with support, it starts with you. No one can make you grow. No one can force you to care. Accountability is a choice you make every single day to show up, to try again, to be better than you were yesterday. You will never grow by accident. Growth demands effort. It demands reflection. It demands responsibility. So if you're serious about change, stop looking outward, look inward. Ask yourself, am I owning this journey, or am I hiding behind reasons and regrets? Because the truth is simple, your progress will always match your level of accountability. And when you take full responsibility for your growth, no matter how hard, no matter how slow, you become unstoppable. That's where transformation lives. That's where breakthroughs happen. That's where the real journey begins. There comes a moment in every person's life when they have to decide, am I going to keep living the story I was handed, or am I going to start writing my own? Most people don't realize they've been living by someone else's script, shaped by society's expectations, past experiences, fears, or the opinions of others. They follow the path laid out for them without ever stopping to ask, is this really what I want? But the truth is, you're the author of your story. You always have been. You just have to reclaim the pen. Every day you're writing the next chapter with your thoughts, your choices, and your habits. The question is, are you writing consciously, or are you letting your past write it for you? Too many people let their past define their identity. They believe that because they failed before, they'll always fail. Because they were hurt, they'll always be broken. Because someone else told them they weren't enough, they carry that story like it's truth. But the past is not the final chapter. Unless you choose to stop writing, just because something was true about you, doesn't mean it still has to be. You have the power to evolve, to shift, to reframe. You get to decide how your story unfolds from here. Being the author means taking responsibility for the narrative you're creating. That doesn't mean everything that happened to you was your fault. It means you're in charge of what happens next. You can keep living in the chapter of regret, pain, and what ifs, or you can start writing a new one where you grow, rise, and build something better. Every story has plot twists, setbacks, losses, challenges that feel unfair and overwhelming. But the most powerful characters, the ones we root for, the ones we remember, are the ones who choose to fight forward anyway. They don't let one chapter define the whole book. They turn the page, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. And you don't need permission to rewrite your story. You don't need everyone's approval. You don't even need to have it all figured out. You just need to believe that the next chapter can be different, and be bold enough to start writing it today. Think about what kind of story you want your life to tell. Do you want it to be a story of fear, or courage, resentment, or forgiveness, mediocrity, or growth? You decide. No one else gets to write your character. No one else gets to choose your values, your direction, your legacy. That's your job, and that's your power. Sometimes, rewriting your story means walking away from what's familiar. It means breaking patterns, disappointing people who expected you to stay the same, and risking the unknown. But what's the alternative? To keep repeating a story that doesn't inspire you. To keep settling for chapters that don't reflect who you truly are. You were never meant to live a story defined by limitations. You were meant to live one defined by possibility. But that begins when you take the pen back, when you stop playing the victim of your story and start becoming the hero of it. No matter where you've been or what you've been through, the next page is blank. It's waiting for you to decide what happens next. Not next year, not someday, now. So write the story that sets you free. Write the story that reflects your courage, not your fear. Write the story that your future self will thank you for. Because the moment you realize you're the author is the moment everything starts to change. Confidence is often misunderstood. People assume it's something you're born with, something that just appears when you achieve success or get recognition. But real confidence doesn't come from applause. It doesn't come from external validation. It comes from something deeper, something stronger. Responsibility. Confidence is built, not given. And it's built through the quiet, consistent act of showing up for yourself. When you take responsibility for your life, your choices, your habits, your growth, you begin to trust yourself. And that trust is the foundation of confidence. Think about it. How can you feel confident in yourself if you constantly avoid responsibility, if you break promises to yourself, procrastinate, or blame others for your results? How can you possibly believe in your own ability to create change? Confidence is not about pretending to have it all together. It's about knowing that no matter what happens, you will figure it out because you are accountable for your life. Taking responsibility means you stop waiting for someone else to fix it. You stop expecting circumstances to change before you act. Instead, you say, this is mine, my progress is on me, my results are on me, and that's a good thing. Because when you own the process, you own the outcome. And every time you follow through on a commitment, even a small one, you reinforce the belief that you're capable. You begin to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who doesn't quit, someone who keeps their word, even when it's hard. That's where confidence is born, in discipline, in consistency, in responsibility. Responsibility also gives you control. When you avoid responsibility, you give away your power. You become dependent on others, their opinions, their support, their timing. But when you take responsibility, you take back control. You no longer have to wait to feel strong. You become strong through action. You don't wait to feel ready. You create readiness through repetition. That sense of control fuels confidence because you're no longer reacting to life, you're leading it. There's another layer too. When you take responsibility, you learn from everything. Mistakes don't break you, they teach you. Setbacks don't define you, they sharpen you. You're not afraid to fail because you know you'll get back up and try again. That resilience becomes a quiet, unshakable confidence, not loud, not arrogant, but deeply rooted in who you've become. Responsibility also sharpens your focus. When you know that your effort matters, that your choices have consequences, you start to care more about the details. You start managing your time better. You stop wasting energy on distractions or drama. You focus on progress, on growth, on alignment, and every small win stacks up, adding to your confidence like bricks in a wall. So no, confidence doesn't come from hype or luck or waiting for someone else to believe in you. It comes from responsibility. From being the kind of person who doesn't need to be pushed because they've already decided to move forward. You become confident not by avoiding challenges, but by choosing to face them, not by being perfect, but by taking ownership when you fall. Confidence isn't about never doubting yourself, it's about knowing you'll still act, even when you do. When you begin to carry the weight of your own potential, when you stop shifting blame and start taking charge, something incredible happens. You start to believe in the person you're becoming, and that belief, that self-respect, turns into real, unshakable confidence. So if you want confidence, don't wait for it, don't chase it, build it, earn it, and it starts by taking full responsibility for your actions, your outcomes, and your life. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up, go through the motions, check the boxes, and repeat the same routines day after day. They respond to what the world throws at them, always busy, but rarely fulfilled. Their lives are full, yet strangely empty. That's what it looks like to live by default, and while it might seem easier in the short term, it comes at a cost. Your purpose, your direction, your peace. Living with intention is the opposite. It means choosing your life instead of drifting through it. It means making decisions based on your values, not just your habits. It means asking yourself, why am I doing this? And is this moving me toward who I want to become? When you live by default, your life is shaped by other people's expectations. You end up chasing goals you didn't set, saying yes to things you don't believe in, and wondering why you feel lost. But when you live with intention, everything starts to align. You begin to filter your time, your energy, and your attention. You stop doing things just because you always have, and start doing things because they matter. Intentional living isn't about having a perfect plan. It's about clarity. Clarity about what you want, who you are, and what matters most. And that clarity doesn't come from noise. It comes from slowing down, from reflecting, from asking hard questions. Living with intention requires you to pause and take inventory of your life, even when it's uncomfortable. Are your daily actions aligned with your long-term goal? Are your relationships nourishing or draining? Are you spending your time in ways that reflect your deepest values, or are you simply reacting to whatever's urgent? These aren't easy questions, but they're necessary. Because the moment you stop questioning your direction is the moment you start drifting. Living intentionally means taking full ownership of your time. Time is your most precious resource. Once it's gone, it's gone. When you live with intention, you protect it. You say no more often. You eliminate distractions. You stop spending hours on things that bring you no closer to the life you want. And as you do, you begin to feel lighter, more focused, more in control. It also means choosing how you respond to life. You can't control everything that happens, but you can control how you show up. You can choose kindness over anger, growth over comfort, and purpose over pressure. That's intentional living, not letting life dictate your mindset, but deciding what kind of person you want to be in every situation. It's not always easy. There will be pressure to go back to default, to follow the crowd, to chase success over meaning. But intentional living isn't about doing what's easy. It's about doing what's right for you. It's about waking up every day and asking yourself, what kind of life am I building? And then living in a way that answers that question with purpose. When you live with intention, your days may not always be perfect, but they will be yours. You'll stop feeling like a stranger in your own life. You'll stop being pulled in every direction. Instead, you'll move with clarity. You'll speak with purpose. You'll act with alignment. You weren't born to live a life of default. You were born to build something meaningful, something honest, something that reflects who you are and what you believe. So take a deep breath, slow down, look around, and ask yourself, am I living with intention or just existing by default? The answer to that question will shape the rest of your life.